I don't know what to do or say, so I'm starting the intro off like this. Hello, everybody. Right, just give me a second, guys. Oh, get that ASMR slurping ripe and ready for you into your ears. Do you know what? I'm actually such a hot tea girly these days. She is a reformed woman. My entire life, have grown up never enjoying hot drinks like tea or coffee. I mean, I still don't like coffee. I've never drank coffee, and I don't actually still like traditional tea, like milky tea or whatever. But in my older, refined age, I do like a hot fruit tea, specifically in the winter. And let me tell you, I'm exploring flavours. I've got lemon and ginger. I get mango and passion fruit, strawberry, berry. Oh, I'm such a sado, but like it brings me deep joy. Start my morning off every day. Get my little Yakult immunity shot. Take my multivitamins and have a nice little hot tea for my digestion because health is wealth. Anyway, gonna pop this down. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Weekly Wigs. Guys, I just have to be so real. Your gal is in Strugsville this last day or two. I've actually had generally a very positive week, but excuse me. Girlies, I'm just over it. I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling just quite uninspired at the minute. And I don't know if that's just creatively or whether that's life in general. I know I feel like I start off most bloody podcasts these days moaning about the winter. I'm so. Oh, look now, Shez Wigz. Mum, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ditch your call because I've literally just started my pod. I will call you back in an hour. I love you dearly. I hope you think I'm not ghosting you, but I'm in the flow now. And if I start speaking to you now, I won't stop. So say hi to Shazza. That's actually a really old photo of Mum. Oh, that was when we were in a glasses shop in a was it Specsavers? It was like my old opticians where I used to grow up. And we were trying on glasses. And I've just realised I've never actually changed this image. It's probably 15 years old. Anyway, I'll be back with you, Shez. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, I think I feel bad because I feel like I'm starting every episode recently just moaning about the winter and the winter depression. Oh, guys, it's too long. It's too long. And I just don't know how much more of it I can take. I can't express how much I am yearning for an escape to the sunshine. And I feel like I just want to get out the UK, but I can't. And I think that's what's infuriating me because I'm how do we do this every day? We go through and we wake up to grey skies, rain. I mean, to be fair, yesterday morning was an absolute beauty of a morning. It was super blue sky and it was stunning. And then fast forward to the evening, it was pissing snowing. I was like, Miss Winter, pack it the fuck in now, yeah? Because I'm over it. And I can't help but feel emotionally affected by that a lot of the time. And I really think it just knocks my productivity, maybe is the word. I've definitely been in a bit of a slump recently in terms of going to do my swims. I'm usually a regular swimmer and I do 2-3 nights a week at my local gym. I enjoy a nice swim. That is my preferred choice of exercise. But I haven't been in quite some time. I think I went maybe once 2 weeks ago. And I'm genuinely struggling to get myself out of my flat at the end of my work day and going out because I got to get a tram and then walk over there. And that in itself just feels like such a massive chore. And I know it's so silly. It is silly. It's really not that deep. And I do it every other day of the year. But sometimes you just get in those slumps. And sometimes it's really hard to work yourself out of those generic slumps because it can start affecting other things. And then you feel oh, life's boring. I'm not doing anything. I'm not traveling. Oh, I don't like my job. Oh, it can just spiral very quickly. And I feel annoyingly, I've just kind of been in that vibe for honestly the last 2 months. There's been lots of positives throughout it and I've done lots and carried on with life doing it, but it's not making me feel inspired and I need some inspiration to just boost me up, So I'm just being open, honest and raw. That's generally how I'm feeling at the minute. And sometimes I feel just kind of bad when I come onto the podcast, and I don't want it to come across like I'm having a moan or that this is a negative space, because I like this to be a fun space where we feel like we're just having a little chit chat as friends. But like, do you know what? That just comes with honesty and emotions a lot of the time. And I feel like I'm somebody who wears my heart on my sleeve, and I'm never not going to be like that. I know some people like sort of podcasts and entertainment, shall we say, as a form of escapism, and they don't want to think about the negative stuff. And you know what? Hey ho, everyone's got their interests and their hobbies. If I'm not for you, then no offense taken. But I like this to just always feel like I'm just chatting to you open and honest as if you were sat next to me in me lounge. So that's just honestly where I'm at the minute. We're plodding along. We're getting on in this life. I think what I honestly could really do that would just like give me a shift would be to go traveling or like have a little week away. But it's not my reality at the minute because of the cost of traveling. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of like a note on my agenda today of just my hashtag rant of the week. Girlies, we need to sort this out. How do we fix the cost of traveling? Because it makes me so mad. It's so unfair how much it costs, even just for like a generic flight to like Spain or somewhere within Europe that's maybe like no more than 2 hours. Why am I paying nearly £200 for a flight of that sort in the last like 5 years? I can't get on board with this, girls. I can't get on board with it. And I mean, hey, I can expect an increase in price when you go like far, far away, you know, like when you do international travel. But like, we're going to fucking Spain. It's 2 hours across on a plane. I shouldn't have to take a mortgage out to go and have a little sunbathe by the beach in Costa del Sol or wherever the bloody hell I want to go. And this has just been the trend, isn't it? For like literally the last few years since we've been deep in the Cosy Lives crisis. And it's just, I feel so frustrated at the never-ending feeling of not being able to fix it, if that makes sense. Like, it's one of those things that's not massively in your control, isn't it? When it comes to just the cost of living, the economy, all of that. And I feel like I'm always trying to chase more money, or, you know, when I took this new job recently, that was like a slight pay rise for me. But, you know, I'm not like in some specific profession that pays me like £100,000 a year, very sadly. But I mean, you know, to be perfectly honest, that is probably the majority of people's reality. Like, not everyone is a rich lawyer, not everyone is in a certain profession. And I hate that like those people are all almost punished because of it. Meanwhile, we're all still out here working 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, like working yourself into the ground, tired, stressed. And like the most minimum thing that we should deserve out of it is like maybe 1 or 2 holidays a year. And it just feels like that is near impossible these days. And I think that's what frustrates me, because there was a time in life where, weirdly enough, I was on far less of a salary, living a very different lifestyle. And it's just crazy how much that can change and it's out of your control. It's just like, why are the wages not waging? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I feel like I'm having to just scrape the pennies and just justify things and putting them on credit cards and being like, oh, well, life's too short. Like, maybe we'll pay it off next month. And I don't like being in that position. I've never been like that. I'm always very sensible with my money. Like, I've always been able to save up lots of money. And I've generally used those savings then to go towards like holidays. But like in the last like couple of years, I'm just in a position where I can't even do that. And I'm just like, what is going on? So if anyone out there wants to give your gal a little free holiday, then just hit me up, girl. Hit me in the DMs. I'll be your travel buddy. I mean, I can give you like 100 quid if you like, if that'll subside some kind of costs, but I just need a break, my love. I need a break. Man, I don't know. I'm sure we're all in this struggle, and it can feel like your life is failing, but actually it's not just you. Like, I think a lot of people are in this boat in recent years. So if that's you, let me know in the comments. Let me know how you're coping. I know, like, we should focus on the little things, and I am so grateful that I'm even alive and breathing. And I have moments, like good weeks, where I'm like, oh, I'm having a really good week. Like, I'm so grateful for all the things I've done. I've got loving family, I've got friends, and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it can be really hard to like see yourself out of that mode. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I can't lie. I just keep envisioning myself on a sun lounger in Palma in Spain with a little Fanta lemon in hand, sunglasses on, the sound of music just playing on like some hotel bar area, looking out at the sparkling blue sea, feeling the rays of sun and the vitamin D inject itself into my skin. Oh, I'm also so pale right now. I feel so pale and ghost-like most days. I'm just like, girlies, we need that summer glow. Where would be your favourite holiday destination? If you could pick somewhere right now, let me know in the comments, where would it be? For me, honestly, I'm actually not even shooting for the stars. I genuinely want to go back to Palma in Spain, Playa de Palma specifically. It's in Mallorca, and I love Palma. It's one of my like frequent visiting spots for holidays, but often in the past because it's always been the most affordable. Like, I've been quite a few times to Palma, and I literally used to be able to go for like a week's holiday, half board, really close to the beach, like 4-star hotel, and I dead ass used to be able to do that for like £500-600 maximum, and that included all my spending money, my flights, my hotel, my food. That is just like a fever dream now. That does not exist. That truly does not exist. It's definitely double the price. If I want the same now, it's about 1,200 quid minimum. So that was always my go-to spot, and I don't know what it is. It just holds a place in my heart. I just really like it as an area. Like, I think I like the ease of it because it's just 2 hours on a flight. It's familiar. It's an area that's really close to like a really long stretch of beach, which is really lovely. And it's very close to Palma City itself. And when I go on holidays, I do, as much as I like to relax and sunbathe and read books and all the rest of it, I can sometimes get like a little bit bored about like 4 days in. So it's kind of nice to have some kind of town or city or something nearby where you can do like a little bit of tourist stuff for a minute. And Palma, like, is such a nice city. It's like really old Spanish style streets, and there's like a really big cathedral there. And it's honestly like one of my favorite go-to destinations. I've been to Spain so many times, and it just has this, even little things like when you go to your favorite supermarkets there, like they've got the Mercadona, which is, oh my God, so elite. They do the best like guacamole, and then they sell these like really specific crisps. They're like, do you remember in the UK we had them, like they're called discos, and they're like circle shaped, really thin little crunchy crisps, and the ones that they sell in the Mercadona are like similar to that, but like a tiny bit thicker, and they're just plain salted ones. And they make the perfect scoopers. Like, without fail, my absolute tradition every time I go to Spain is to find a Mercadona before anything. Go and grab my little chips and dips, get a Fanta lemon. And I sit out on my balcony, and it is the happiest joy in my life. It is one of the most simple pleasures in life that like fills my soul with happiness every time I touch down in Spain. And you just have that minute where you just go, oh, I'm on holiday. I'm on my balcony. I'm glowing with sun. There's a sea over there. Everyone's vibing. It's just good vibes. So yeah, that would be like my complete dream right this second. Is it if I could just have the money to just up and hop and go, I would do it straight away. But alas, we don't. But one day, I have booked myself a little flight to go see my friend Josie, who lives in Barcelona. That will be a bit of a whistle-stop tour, though, because it's not really like a holiday. But it'll be nice to just hop on a plane and maybe see the sun for like all of 24 hours. So I'll take what I can at this point. But yeah, we just gotta keep grinding, keep trying to save what I can, and then we'll revisit some holiday prices in the next few months, hopefully, and see if I can afford something, because that would be very nice. But anyway, enough about me moaning about not being on holidays, because I know there's like bigger problems in life. But hey, I'm just being honest and raw with you. But you know what, this last week though, I have had a nice positive time. I've been off work for like a couple of days because I went home and I saw Miss Jodie Comer. Prima facie, I think that's how you say it, is I won't show it to you now because it's stuck under a pile of books, but I did show it on my last podcast if you listened. It is a book written by Susie Miller, and it's been turned into a play in recent years. And Jodie Comer, who is just one of the most like incredible like actors of our generation, and she's a Liverpudlian, she's a Scouser. No, that was a really bad Scouse accent, actually. Scouser? No, I can do a Scouse accent usually. I usually got to say something like "Shichen and ships." That's our Silla. They do a lot of in their accent. Anyway, she's a Scouser. She is a Scouser, and she's a very bloody good actress, I tell you that. And it's like this one-woman show. It's basically, it's like, how do I explain this without trying to like give away the whole thing? But it is essentially, it's a one-woman show, and she plays a barrister, like a defense barrister. And it sort of follows her journey of her life as that job, and how she'll have certain cases of like sexual assault victims, and it's her job as the defense barrister, not necessarily to claim that those victims are lying, but she has to like point out holes in the evidence. And anyway, it kind of covers that element of her life. And then basically there's a twist in the story where she ends up getting sexually assaulted herself, and then the script is flipped and she is the one in like the witness box going to court. And it's just like this really captivating story and production of just, it's crazy how she manages to make that so captivating as just one woman show. And it's literally a straight through show. It's like an hour and 40, no breaks. And she plays herself, but she's kind of interjecting multiple characters throughout. And it's like she's the storyteller of the whole show, and she's narrating it as she goes along while she's acting the moments. And she's like moving tables, she's moving the stage around herself. It literally is just her and nothing else. And it's just so captivating. It's quite a unique play. Like obviously most plays or musicals or theatre productions, they have like an ensemble or a bigger cast or like different, I don't like, there's often breaks between, but this is just like a straight through simple one woman, pretty much the same type of props that are just moved a bit. But I think the story and the acting is so intense in itself that like it's enough that it keeps you engaged. And oh my God, she had such a well-deserving standing ovation, applause. Like everyone was out of their seats, and you could just feel like, whoa. It's sort of like it does feel a bit tense when you're in it, because it's like, I guess the subject matter obviously is so serious and like a bit darker, shall we say. And it definitely is like one that gets you thinking, but you're so captivated and in it with her because she's such a good actress. It was like, wow, you really feel, it's very palpable. You feel the energy in the air. And so, yeah, hats off to Miss Jodie Comer, because I had already seen that play in the cinemas with my mum before, because they film some of them sometimes and put them in the theatre, in the cinemas. But I'd always wanted to see it in person. And then obviously she came out and said she was doing a tour. So I was like, oh, get me there. And it was even better in person. Like, it was absolutely amazing. So really glad I got to see that this week. That was so good. Another thing that I need to touch on, which I had mentioned last week, was Super Bowl Sunday, the halftime show. Not me saying, I'm not going to wait up in the middle of the night to watch it. Like, I'll watch it the next day. Fast forward to me literally in bed at like 1:30 in the morning, watching it on my phone. I was like, no, I need to know what's happening, and I want to watch it live. So Mr. Bad Bunny from Puerto Rico, well, he did a very good job. I will say I had no expectations really watching it, because I don't really know Bad Bunny's music. Like, he does pretty much all of his music in the language of Spanish. So I can't say I've ever like locked into his songs. I think I knew like one or two of them before, but that was very much my extent of like Bad Bunny knowledge. But he was honestly a vibe. Like, it was really an impressive halftime show. It was so what's the word, like the production of it really was great for TV viewers, and that's kind of what a lot of the halftime shows have been like in recent years. Like, it's a full production, it's like a movie on your screens. And he basically encompassed a lot of his, I think, his life and his upbringing in Puerto Rico, and it was highlighting lots of his culture and all the dances and the types of foods that they would eat. And I don't know, I obviously can't speak to that experience, but you can tell that he was highlighting moments of society and people's lives through that performance. And it was just really wonderful to see. And he's obviously celebrating his heritage and his culture. And I think with the political backdrop of like everyone having a mare because like, oh my God, he's not English speaking. He's doing it all in Spanish. All the sad American MAGA lot like having a mare over it. Like it was even more powerful because you knew that there was a message to be sent there, and he did it very well. But whilst also just being a vibe, everyone was dancing. It was great. It was honestly so fun. He's a beautiful man as well. He is a handsome fellow, Mr. Bad Bunny. So I was engaged. And I love the fact mainly that he got like 128 million views, right? The viewership of the halftime show. And all the while, that sad little alternative that those MAGA lot did, the All-American halftime show, that they did in response as their counter-protest because the racists couldn't stand the fact that like a non-English speaking singer was going to be on their screen. So they decided to take it to the all-white American halftime show with Kid Rock, and it basically only got like 6 million views, which is just hilarious in comparison to the 128 million people and more that were tuned in to Bad Bunny. So they really thought they ate with that one, and they in fact did not. And you know what? That's something that just generally fills me with hope in this world. It's becoming more and more apparent to me that the more you see these displays of just obviously awful rhetoric, the racism, the bigotism, the fashion, all of it, right? When you watch on in horror and you think, oh my God, why do people think like this? This is awful. What's the world coming to? Oh my God, this country's over. But then actually, when the moments matter and the big moments occur, you realise that like, oh my God, they're so outnumbered. There's so few of them. Like you just have to look at the amount of people that turn up for the good side of it, the good side of history. And it is always a huge amount more than the other lot. It just is. Like, it happens all the time. And I have to keep reminding myself of that when I feel a bit in despair or hopeless and I think, oh God, what's going to happen next? I'm sort of always reminded of humanity that comes through, and I think, yes, good job, guys. We did it. We did it. In this next coming week for me, I'm actually quite excited to do my episode next week because I'm going to a counter-protest in Manchester City Centre. The Britain First lot are coming to town, and there's a peaceful counter-protest with the Stand Up to Racism and the Women Against the Far Right initiative. And I got my little sign. It says fascism not welcome. And I made that quite a while ago, but it's just been sat at my window and I'm going to put it to use. But I'm really interested to see how that day goes. And I'm going to really try my hardest to get some recordings. I'm going to try and make a whole episode out of it. So keep an eye out for that, because if you're interested in what's going on, then I'll keep you in the loop. So what else has been going on this week? Oh, so yesterday, happy Valentine's Day to those that celebrate, I guess. It was yesterday. I'll be honest, as a singleton gal out here, maybe I'm just bitter Betty because I'm single, but I can't be arsed with all the Valentine's Day shit of it all. Like, the way that we fold to this commercial holiday, I honestly think even if I was in a relationship, I would not give a shit about Valentine's Day. Why do we care? Why is it such a thing? I don't get it. Anyway, in the spirit of Valentine's Day yesterday, though, I took my single ass self along with all the couples, which made me feel a bit awkward, but whatever. I went to go see Wuthering Heights, which is the film of the moment. Mr. Jacob Elordi. Oh, that man! He has to be the hottest man on the planet right now. He's so tall, he's so handsome. He really does it for me. Jacob Elordi, you fine specimen of a man. Anyway, he is the leading man alongside Margot Robbie, who's a great actress. I love Margot Robbie. I feel like she can't do anything wrong. She is great in every film. I actually watched her again on my train home the other day in I, Tonya. That is such a good film. I was feeling watching that because I've been quite obsessed with the figure skating recently in the Olympics. So I was like, oh, she did a film about that, didn't she? So would recommend that, I, Tonya. Anyway, Margot Robbie's great. So she was the lead, the main female, alongside Jacob Elordi. They were very good together, very passionate, very loving, very romantic. The cinema was packed. It was packed. There wasn't a single empty seat. I do kind of love it when you have moments like that in film that I feel like are a bit of a thing of the past these days. Like actually fully packing out cinema is sort of a rarity. So I was glad to see that. That was kind of nice to feel the atmosphere everyone around you, you know. It is getting a lot of controversy, this Wuthering Heights, because I mean, look, I'm going to be honest, I've never read the book. I don't really know the history of it other than the fact that Emily Bronte of the Bronte sisters wrote it, and it's a very famous piece of literature. I have been to the village where the Brontes grew up, called Haworth, which is up in Yorkshire, which is actually sort of where the book is based. And it's a beautiful part of the world, lots of history there. Love it, love it, love it. But look, I'm not like a big book reader in that sense, so I can't say I knew anything of it. So I can't take an opinion and base it off of what it should be, but I'm seeing a lot of discourse that all the book girlies and all the Bronte lovers are like, it's shit, it just goes entirely against the book, blah, 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 and they cast someone wrong and they should never have changed that part of the story. Oh, it's not authentic. I don't know, everyone's kicking off, but like, look, I'm just going to take it for what it is. It's a romantic film, it's a bit steamy, it's just, I don't know. And also, from what I've been seeing on interviews, like the director Emerald Fennell, like I think it's just meant to be an adaptation. It's not meant to be like super accurate. I think people take things very personally sometimes when people make films out of books, and I mean that's like always been the case. Like I feel like no, if you're like a real book girly and you like the original stories, you probably should just never watch film adaptations because they never match the book. Like that's kind of the point though. It's meant to be like an artistic freedom for a director or someone to like make their own version of it. Like I don't know, like unless it was obviously a specific true, like, you know, when you see films that are adapted from someone's actual life story that are like factual for a reason, I could understand if somebody like completely changed a real life story of someone, but this isn't real life. Like these are just like novels, and I don't know why people get in such a tizzy about it, but alas, it's certainly bringing in the punters. Everyone's going out to see it, so you know that's what gets them to it probably, because it's just a talking point. But I thought it was pretty good though. I'd probably honestly watch it again. Like it was very sexy. It was a lot of intense scenes, shall we say, with Margot and Jacob. It was a very like intense love story. It actually is like quite heartbreaking. I'm not going to spoil the ending or say anything, but having not known what the story was, I didn't really know what to expect or what was going to happen. But it does end quite sadly. But I don't know. It took the feeling I took away from it, and the message that felt the most prominent to me was to pursue who you love, basically, and don't let silly things get in the way. You know, I don't know. It's hard for me to say this stuff without like spoiling it, so maybe I won't say much more. But I would give it like a solid 7 out of 10. There were oh my god, there were women like sobbing in the like at the end. There was a woman next to me with her husband or her boyfriend. She was streaming tears. Like people were sniffing. Like people got really emotional. And I was like, do I just not have a heart? Like. Maybe it's because I'm just single and I can't really relate, and like I don't know, I was just so focused on Jacob Elordi, to be perfectly honest with you. I just came away thinking, oh my god, that man is so hot. I wasn't really thinking much deeper than that. Maybe I'm just shallow, I don't know, but yeah, the girlies were crying, that's for sure. That's going to be a lot of emotional Valentine's nights for people. But yeah, anyway. Some other stuff that I've watched this week. I'm doing a lot of watching. I've been ingesting a lot of art, plays, theatres, films. I've really been quite heavy on that this week. I actually binge watched Jessie Nelson's documentary series on Prime Video. Jessie Nelson from Little Mix, that is. She came out with like a 6-part, I think it was a 6-part series. It was basically life after Little Mix, and obviously if anyone is in tune with pop culture or you're a follower of girl bands and you always like Little Mix, like you'll obviously know the history and the drama. R.I.P. Little Mix. Oh, I actually am so regretful of the day that I saw that Little Mix, I think back when I was living in Cardiff, they came to do a concert there back when they were a 4-piece. And I think just at the time, I don't know whether I just couldn't afford it that week or whether I'd like missed the ticket sales, but I basically just didn't end up going to see them in concert. And I forever regret it to this day because I love Little Mix. Like they've got so many bops, and we love a good girl band on here. And that was like during their peak where they had so many hits out. They were probably the best they've ever been. They were still a foursome. And then sadly, as tends to happen with girl bands or bands in general, there was a disbanding and Jessie left Little Mix. And it's been a point of contention for many years because of the fact that basically it kind of ended kind of badly. They just stopped talking, which is really sad. There's actually so much to it. And basically, for many years, I think people have viewed Jessie Nelson as the villain of this story, right? I mean, it kind of always happens in girl bands. Look at the Spice Girls. I mean, unfortunately, when Jerry left the band, that was like a whole era of trauma for people back in the 90s. And everyone blamed Jerry, and I'm sure they had their tiffs at the time. But look at them now. Like, the Spice Girls are iconic. They've reunited many a time. And it's like, this is like the modern day version of it, where Jessie is obviously the villain. She's the one who, quote unquote, decided to leave the band. And I feel like that's in history, you know, they never get off lightly, unfortunately. And especially being women in the industry. Like, I'm so sorry if this was ever a male group, no man would ever feel the same wrath, but because it's of course a patriarchal world, the women get absolutely chastised. But anyway, I digress. I think at the time when she left, there was just like a bit of uncertainty and drama around it because of the fact that, like, for many years, I think it was quite clear that she struggled with like the pressure of being in the public eye or being judged. And I mean, you got to remember, like, Little Mix was so young, right, really young for the majority of the career. You know, what were they together, like 10 years or something? And they started super, super young on X Factor. And we all know the X Factor is like a toxic hole of nonsense, that program. And all the stories that have come out in later years of like all the traumatic psychological damage that comes from that show. But it's such a unique experience for them. And what would they have been like in their, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 years old? That's so young. And so obviously, you know, you fast forward to like 10 years now, like that's going to be a lot of trauma for some people. And I think Jessie, it was always like, she was the one that people publicly knew struggled with it the most. Like, I think she did come out with a couple documentaries like back in the day when she was in Little Mix. I remember there was a really powerful documentary she did once on BBC. Oh, what was it called? I can't remember what it was called, but it was a lot around her bullying and like all the trolling that she used to receive on social media, because people always viewed her as like the fat one of the group. And oh God, people are just awful, aren't they? And she went through, I think, a lot of legit trauma because of that. And I think it probably just spiraled from that point onwards. So a lot probably goes on behind the scenes that we never know about. But it definitely just ended really badly. It was really sad to see, because no one likes to see that when it's like your favourite girl group and you think, oh no, you just want to be friends forever. And then there was like there was all these like little dramas that just kind of happened post breakup. And there was a lot of talk about how like Jessie's blocked them all on WhatsApp or whatever, and she doesn't speak to any of them anymore. And then there was this really bizarre moment where she did a live stream with Nicki Minaj, of all people, and they were doing like this, I don't know, like Q&A and just chatting shit. And there was some kind of drama on at the time, I guess, around like her and Leanne, and I think she'd been accused of like blackfishing, which, to be perfectly honest, like, I think is pretty valid. Like, she definitely is a white woman, and there's one thing wearing a bit of fake tan, but I think there was a lot of controversy going on around like her newest solo single and how it was quite like, you know, what do they call it? Like cultural appropriation. And I think Leanne had been maybe public about that or had said something. And there was clearly some beef between them there. And Nicki Minaj had just kind of chatted shit about Leanne on this like live stream. And Jessie was kind of laughing at it. And it was just like a really messy internet drama moment. And it was quite sour feeling. And I mean, Nicki Minaj is a complete troll anyway, and look at her these days, so not a surprise. But it soured, I think, the relationships even more. And then over the years, there's basically been not a lot said about it, but a lot of indications in interviews of like, yeah, we don't really speak anymore. And it's honestly been so heartbreaking to see, because it's like, girlies, come on, girl power, girl groups, like, you can't not ever make up. And so Jessie Nelson, I think for the last 5 years or so since they broke up, has very much like stayed out of it. Like, she's had a few things here and there. She's obviously online. She like she posts about stuff, but she's not really been doing music ever since that first track came out and got slandered. And then in like recent years, she's obviously she's had babies. She's had this like big thing happen to her where I guess she's got twins, but they've got this rare disease. And now she's like on this big campaign thing about changing some. Anyway, I don't know the full details of that, but she's been through a rough time. She's been through a rough time. And I think she had a lot of trauma even having her babies because they were premature. And there was something wrong with them. Anyway, it's clearly she's been through the ringer. Our girl Jessie has been through the ringer. And so this documentary series kind of covered that time. And for the first time in obviously like 5 years, she's kind of come out with like, hey, this is my side of the story. This is how I felt all this time. Because you've all been hating on me for the last 5 years. And it was actually a really heartbreaking documentary. Like I definitely teared up once or twice. I mean, she's obviously very sadly had a lot of awful trauma in terms of like having her babies, like that kind of story's been sad enough. But the way that she spoke about the Little Mix stuff was like, it just reiterated just the sadness of the whole situation and how when you think that they've been through all this stuff together and they were like best friends and they've had that whole career span and outside of the career, like they were literally best friends, like how would you not have that bond from doing that together, you know? And considering all the stuff that's happened to them personally now with like babies and lots of them have kids and all the rest of it, it's just I really hope a day comes where they fully reconcile and like the band comes back together, not just for the sake of the band and Little Mix, but like you just want to see them being friends again because you think, oh, come on, there's got to be a happy ending to this. So yeah, would recommend a watch. It's a really good watch. If you're ever interested in like pop culture and all that kind of stuff. It was a very interesting take, that's for sure. And she did address like quite a lot that had been unaddressed for quite a few years. So all happening. But let me tell you, if there's ever a Little Mix reunion, I will be first in the queue to get a ticket for that. Okay, so that was kind of, I guess we could call that Culture Corner. We're all about corners here. We're Culture Corner and we're Politics Corner, and there's all sorts of things that go on. Clearly this week has been a culture-heavy week. I've been taking in the halftime show, the documentaries, Wuthering Heights, the play. Like, I've been ingesting a lot of art, shall we say. In terms of Politics Corner, to be honest, there hasn't actually been a massive amount that's gone on this last week than what I was talking to you about last week. I mean, the Epstein files are basically still ongoing. I did actually watch the 4-part series on Netflix about Jeffrey Epstein. I think this is an old series. I think this came out like sometime after 2020. So it's not a new series, but I guess it's trending at the minute because of all the Epstein file shit. And I'd never watched the original, so I did watch that on my train journey home the other day. I mean, it was stuff that I already knew because it's everything that's in the news now, but it really is very harrowing what's going on there, and I'm keeping my eyes on the developments. I mean, nothing is really happening is the crazy thing. Like, there's a couple like individuals. I mean, obviously, specifically in the UK, you've got Peter Mandelson, who was being investigated by the police, and there's like inquiries and all this stuff going on in our country. So at least we're seeing some kind of action here. But in terms of the wider group of people, like in Americans specifically, like it's just nothing happening. There's literally no justice. And it's so insane because watching that series, and it includes so many of Epstein's victims, and just hearing them talk about their stories and what they went through, and the absolute fights that they had to go through to even get like him to be convicted to the jail sentence. It's like, it's really heartbreaking how much they had to go through anyway. And I bet they never would have predicted how it would all unfold now. I mean, I'm sure they did because they probably knew a lot more than the rest of us. But like seeing that it's all coming out now, and well, not even all of it, there's still more to come, but seeing that so much of it is being exposed and still nothing gets done about it is, I just can't imagine how insulting or traumatizing that has to feel as the victims. And there was this whole thing that happened this last week. Pam Bondi, who is what's her official title? She's like the secretary of Pam Bondi job title. Oh, United States Attorney General. Okay, so she's like someone who's high up in the bloody administration. She's an absolute Fruit Loop. Anyway, they're doing this thing where they like bring them to Congress so that they have to testify. I'm not very good at explaining this because it's not my world. But in America, they have it's sort of like inquiries. You know, when you have like public inquiries and they have to go and turn up and answer questions or depositions as a part of those inquiries. Well, Pam Bondi as part of the administration, and she's actually the woman who's basically responsible for like releasing all of these files. It's her kind of main job, and she's been chastised, rightly so, in the last year or so because she hasn't really been doing a very good job at it, as none of them have been, and they haven't even fully released all the files yet, which they should have done forever ago, and they're definitely like breaking all of the laws by not doing all this stuff. So this was the first time that members of Congress or, you know, whoever does these depositions or these inquiries were able to give her a grilling. And they did give her a grilling. And this woman is so spineless. They had a group of Epstein survivors in that room, like in the courtroom type thing. And they were stood behind her. And one of the questioners said, you know, can you turn around and acknowledge the victims that are stood right behind you and all the damage that you have done right now to these women's stories by the actions that you're taking or not taking, la 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 la. And she just point blank refused. She wouldn't acknowledge them. She wouldn't turn around. She wouldn't look at them. And it's like, wow, you lot are evil people. So that's kind of honestly the latest that's going on there. Like I said, the last episode, I think these Epstein files will just continue to unravel for years to come. I don't envision us seeing a day, to be perfectly honest, where real justice is made. I don't see Trump being thrown in jail. I don't see anything happening to Prince Andrew. Like, these are the things that should be happening. The people that are in these files that are being now exposed, and more is coming out about the things they were accused of, and quite frankly, compromising photos showing them probably very much doing those things. You know, we need to see real justice for that, but the world we live in goes against that. You know, we live in a world of corruption where powerful men in particular, they pay people off, they blackmail, they take power, they do whatever they have to do to keep themselves out of jail. And sometimes the people prevail and sometimes they don't. And I do ultimately feel the people prevail. These people will see their day in jail or in court or whatever, but it takes a long, long time for us to get there. So we'll keep an eye on that. Who knows what'll happen? Not much else really going on in Politics Corner. There was a little bit of hoo-ha in my city, in Manchester, actually, these last few days. I guess, I mean, to be honest, I've never even knew this man because I don't give a shit about football, but Man United, who are obviously a very famous football team, very big part of a culture in Manchester. They have an owner called Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I don't know nothing about this man. I mean, most of these football owners are just a bunch of billionaires that don't live here anyway and don't contribute anything to this bloody economy, but pretty sure he's just falls under a category of like another billionaire that tax avoids. So like, what's new? But I guess for some, I don't even know what caused this, but he just came out with comments like this last week saying that the UK has become too colonized and just pushing a lot of this racist rhetoric about immigrants. What a shock. And obviously it made quite the uproar in this country, and I did love to see that this company called Everyone Hates Elon, that are known for putting these like massive billboards and signs up in like UK cities and towns. They put like a big sign outside of Old Trafford, which is the football ground for Man United, saying like, oh, I can't even remember what it said, but it was, oh wait, let me see if I can find it. Oh, I found it. It said, it was just a big massive white poster with just text that said, immigrants have done more for this city than billionaire tax dodgers ever will. And I just thought, yes, 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 say it louder for those at the back. Because these bloody blokes they've just got a nerve, haven't they? They've got a nerve to try and make political comments and derogatory comments to groups and people that make this country, and quite frankly, majority of the fucking Manchester United team made up of like people from immigrant families and all the rest of it. And it's like, hen, who the fuck are you to say any of this shit? Like, piss off. So I'm sure there's going to be a very big campaign to try and get rid of him very soon, to make him the non-owner of Manchester United. But he definitely ruffled some feathers this last week. And then, of course, Nigel Farage came out in support of the comments and said, well, I agree. Anyway, we're going to deal with these right-wingers next week when we go to that protest, because that's where we're going to focus our energies, because we can't be dealing with any of that nonsense. But yeah. Well, guys, I'm not gonna lie. I think this is probably gonna be like my shortest pod on record. I'm so sorry that this may have been a really gibbledy, gobbledy, just random shit chat of nothing. But like I said at the start, this is just kind of where we are at the minute. We're just floating through. We're trying to get through this slump of feeling uninspired. I think what I need to do is just get a bit of a revitalization moment here. I think next week it will help to have something specific to focus on a topic for next week's pod. And I still honestly probably need to do something in terms of finding some more guests. Like I think I'm just struggling a little bit to like think of ideas and think of plans. So like if anyone's out there listening and you're interested in coming on, or you've got some maybe ideas for topics that you'd like to hear be talked about, like that would maybe be fun. I do have an email address for this podcast, which I will leave in the bio. Feel free to just email questions and topics and things there. And maybe we could do like little dilemma section. Like maybe I could be maybe I could just be Miss Agony Aunt, you know? Like give me some shit. Tell me some shit crazy stories about your life, and then maybe I can talk about it. Anyway, on that note, I do hope you have a marvellous rest of your weekend. I hope to be back feeling a bit more inspired and revitalised and give you some more randomness and craziness. We'll just have to see how it goes, guys. But anyway, thank you for joining me. As usual, drop some likes and comments and subscribes and follows and all the rest of it. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.